let's just sew whatever. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be cutting out the Daisy crossbody bag from So Many Creations. I am so excited to cut this out. I'm super excited to sew it. I am going to be making some modifications because it wouldn't be me if I wasn't. There are some unlined pockets on this bag, which works for some people, but for me, I was like, I'm gonna change that. But it is one of those that Jess took in mind capabilities of machines and like the versatility of Cork. So it's cool if it's unlined, if that works for you. But like I said, I'm gonna make a couple changes, and I'm gonna try to use two different colors and use maybe the purple for the changes I'm making and use this for the standard version of the pattern so that you're not confused. Oh shoot, one of those should have been the other, but that's okay. I guess this is the main lining. Oops. There are no pattern pieces for this pattern. They are just templates and measurements. So you're going to need rulers, marking pens, scissors or rotary cutter, whatever works for you. And then you'll need to print out those template pieces. She also sells those template pieces on her website. I think it's definitely different than the bag making I'm used to, but that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. But it means you're going to use less paper because there are no huge pattern pieces. And that means that she can charge less for templates and they're a little bit more affordable. So I get both sides of it. I would say that if you are someone who prefers pattern pieces, go ahead and trace out those measurements on paper, do what you would need to do to the pattern pieces, and then just create your own pattern pieces. I know that's kind of frustrating, but we can be versatile to how different bag makers are. There's no wrong way to design a pattern, and this is the way that Jess has been doing it for years, so it's the way that works. It's just not what all of us are used to, and that's okay. So I'm super excited to get into this. All you really need is cork and your lining fabric. If you're using a cotton, you may need interfacing, and she marks that with CIT, which is cotton interfaced IT. So let's, no, I was gonna say cut it out. Editing Lauren won't cut that out, so you're welcome. Alrighty. Cut that out, Lauren. Cut it out. All right. That's backwards. Okay, had to fix my lighting. So I'm gonna grab a ruler so that I can cut my crossbody strap. And then I'm gonna grab my 13 by 13 ruler because it seems like I'll be able to cut just about everything with that one. Okay. And then I'm gonna grab my 2.5 by 12, which is my favorite to cut out like zipper pocket overlays, since I probably won't use the template piece for that. So those are the rulers I've got. I've got my rotary cutter. I feel like I'm starting a recipe, a bag recipe. I am going to be using this pearl cork from So Many Creations and my watercolor roses printed on pearl, also from So Many Creations. And then this is like a dusty lilac from Fabric Funhouse that is going to be like my accent. So I think all together these look really pretty. I especially love this, but I wanted to add this so that anything that's different is less confusing. So let's dig into it. So we've got strips for the body, front and back. Strip for the gusset. So there's the body, front and back, the gusset. Strips for the gusset extension, which is tall only. I forgot to mention I'm cutting the tall. And then a strip for the open snap pocket. So likely because I'm using a solid for my accent-ish, I'm gonna want the solid for the back of the body and the front of the body, and then one strip for the open snap pocket. I will also be cutting an extra piece of lining so that I can put right sides together instead of having that raw edged. And then I'll be using the full length of this instead of 26 by 26 by 2. I'm just going to cut my strap out of the entire thing. And then I could do a double-sided strap with these two, which would be fun. I don't think I bought, no, this is only a half roll. I think this is a half roll too, ish, that's been cut into. I could also just use webbing, so maybe I'll do that. And then we've got corner accents that I'm going to use for this. We've got our zipper overlay. I'm going to use this. The snap accent, I'm going to use this. Side tabs, I'll go ahead and use that. And then we've got our lining fabric, which I will use the antique teal for. The front zipper pocket is not lined on the front. It's only lined on the entire back, which makes the entire thing a zippered pocket, like the whole entire thing, which is really cool. It's also bulk reducing, but I want it lined, so I'm gonna be cutting that a little bit differently to probably just make it like a one size pocket. Well, no, yeah. Well, the other thing that I could do, I might do, but it's going to be more confusing and complicated than it needs to be, which is why Jess didn't do it, and that's okay. So I'll stop yapping and I'll start cutting. So I'm going to start out with my main cork print, and I think I'm going to do my crossbody strap out of webbing because I have some over here in like this pretty purple. Oh yeah, I'm into that. I'm also going to go ahead and grab a project bin for my new cart. So excited about it. So crossbody strap, technically got that cut. And nothing needs interfacing. So the way I prep my pattern is I will go ahead and use double-sided tape. Nope. Just packing tape and an expo marker, and I'll cross off the things that I've already cut. I know some people like to use the ironable, the heat erasing markers, pens for that instead, and I think that's pretty cool too. So, templates out of the way. Okay, and then it's width and height. I almost just said it out loud, don't do that. And then I'm gonna do my best to make sure I'm not over cutting on this. And then you want to make sure that you avoid the selvage. So there is one of our main bodies. That's going to be the front, and I'll go ahead and cut the back. You could, of course, do it from all the same, but like I don't want to waste the print, and I think it'll kind of give it a nice look to do it this way. Okay, so that's front and back strips. Got them. Cross that off. Then we need a strip for the gusset. I'm going to use my print for that. And I'll grab my larger ruler, but this one still won't be enough. You could also use this ruler and cut it on the fold, which would work just fine. It would work. It would work. All right. measure twice, cut once. So that is my gusset. And then you could also mark your pieces if you need, label them. So we've got 2 A's, 1 B. And then we've got our Gusset Extension for the tall size only. I'm trying to decide, I think I'm gonna do that in my solid. I think that'll look really nice, and then we'll have just that pop of purple peeking out. So in the pattern, she includes a template for your strap connector, but I'm gonna go ahead and omit that, and I'm just gonna do a double folded, or I should say a single fold strap connector cut to like 2x4 to put in there. So this is gonna be 2 of those. Okay, so this is also technically part of B. So we'll place that there. And then there is the strip for the open snap pocket, which is going to be my print. I wish I could use that area, but that's okay. So I'm gonna come over here actually. I'm keeping this end of the cork uncut, one because I got this print that doesn't have the print repeating seamlessly, which I knew this was scrap. I didn't purchase it that way. Jess would never. But I like to keep one end uncut if I can, so that I can make crossbody straps later. Okay. So that is the width it needs to be, and the height it needs to be. Yep. And then I'm also going to be cutting out a piece from my lining so that I can line that pocket. And this is going to be piece C. Okay. From our outside accent, like this took like no cork at all. Holy cow. And you don't need 3 different rolls of cork to make this project. I just wanted to use 3 different rolls of cork to make this project. Okay. Oh, so pretty. We want to cut out 4 of the corner accents. These corner accents are technically optional, but they do look nice, and you know, it's one of the charms of the pattern. We'll need 2 zipper overlays, and since I need them to be about this size, I'm going to go ahead and just measure this. In the width, and then I can cut them to whatever size I want it to be, technically. We need 1 snap accent using template 4. And then template 1 is actually going to be how we trim different pieces. So we can just set that aside for now. And then the side tabs would be if you're using the strap connector given. I'm gonna go ahead and cut mine to 2 inches by 4 inches. Could probably do, no, we'll do 2 by 3. And we'll just cut out 2 of those, and that'll be for a 1-inch piece of hardware. And then everything else is lining. So easy peasy. So I'll first start with my zipper pocket overlays, since I've got some straight edges here. And I really try hard to not cut over, but then sometimes you cut under, so using a pair of scissors helps make up the difference. Okay. So then I'll cut my excess from those in a little bit. But that would be our zipper overlays. Got 2 of those. We just need 1 snap accent. So I am going to be sewing this onto my slip pocket first. I'll be sewing that on, but I'm not going to be folding it over because I'm going to put right sides together for that front slip pocket. So I'll be adding the magnetic snap to my lining. So really, I could go ahead and cut off like 1/4 of an inch from this piece before I cut it out of this. And now, before I move on to that, sorry, I feel like I'm everywhere. I'm gonna go ahead and cut my 2 by 3 connectors. And we'll add a little 3/4 inch wide scrap of interfacing to this to prevent any stretching. You could also just pop in a strip of like waterproof canvas. But these are going to be strap connectors. These are overlays. All right. And that's one snap accent. And you want to be really careful cutting this out. You want to make sure it has a nice rounded edge because it will be raw. You can finish it with Mod Podge or just a clear edge coat to prevent any fraying over time. And to get that curve, I'm holding my scissors open, slowly closing and turning the snap tab. And then we'll be able to take a lighter to the end of that to kind of clean it up a little bit more. But I can go ahead and add some double-sided tape to it now and place it on later. So that's it for that piece. We can cross that off. And if you decided you didn't want to add those corner accents, then you're done cutting out your cork. Move on, carry on. But I do want to add them because they're stupendously cute. You would still need this template to cut the corners of your bag later because it's not a square bag, it's rounded at the bottom, and you need your template piece. Now, I don't know, it doesn't say you need to mirror them, so I don't know that it matters, but you can always kind of trace one, mark your top corner, flip it over, and repeat. But this might be something that's like just the same all the way around. She does include SVGs, I think, with the pattern. If not, you could purchase them, and then you could just cut this all on a cutting machine if you would rather. And when I say this all, I mean these little accent pieces. All right, and that's it for that piece. So I think I can kind of rough cut this from the cork. It's only the top edge that's going to be raw edged. Now, if you are someone who wanted to do maybe a woven accent, what you can do is you can cut Decaville Light or Stabilizer out of this piece and then overcut cotton and kind of snip and wrap it around. So overcut, snip, and like wrap it around your Decaville Light, and then you would have a cotton piece that you can use if you'd rather. And I'll take a lighter to these when I get to my sewing machine, but I'm gonna add some double-sided tape to the back. That way I can place that on and then sew it. When Jess showed me this pattern, I was like, oh my gosh, you have to make it. It's so cute. She was worried it kind of looked like other patterns that already exist, and it's like you're never going to escape that. And you know, we've all been there, and we're all working on patterns at the same time without realizing what other people are working on. So, you know, that, and you never know how long someone's been making something. Like, I had patterns that I'd been making for like 4 years and then decided to release it or something, and maybe it looks like something else, but yeah. So just go ahead and never assume negative intentions, please and thank you. Okay. Those are the corner accents complete. So then I can go ahead and put this away as well. Not now though, later. And I'll cut my overlays. And so when I cut overlays, I measure 3/4 of an inch on the short ends and then 3/4 of an inch on the long ends. And I cut the long ends as close to line as I can, and then I'll use my scissors for the rest. And you want to make sure you're using some pretty sharp scissors for this. There you go. And then I'm going to take some tape along the very top edge. place that with confidence. Okay, there's that. There's that. So now we're on to our lining fabric. Probably don't need those. All right. So pieces that are not in the pattern, but that I'm going to cut. And I do believe she mentions in there that like you can cut those, you know. Okay, and this is going to be the same as our open snap pocket. So those pieces are going to go together. And now we've got there is the strip for lining, the zip pocket side that I'm going to cut 2 of. And I have an idea. But I won't really show you how that plays out until the sewing video. So I need 4 instead of a total of 3. Okay, and then I am going to go ahead and add the credit card pockets, and then we'll need that gusset piece. Okay. So pretty easy. I say pretty easy, and I realize that's relative, you know. It's easy for me. Doesn't mean it's easy for you. So just take your time and know that the more you do things, the easier they become. Okay. I've got 1 more of those. For a total of 4 instead of 3, as the pattern states. And if you did not want to add those credit card slots, you could cut 5 of these instead. But I do want to add those credit card slots. Oh shoot, one of those should have been the other, but that's okay. I guess this is the main lining. Oops. Just kept going. Sorry about that, y'all. I said it like several times too. Sorry. Okay. I'm a professional. Okay. And these pieces are overcut by quite a bit, just to allow for any seam allowance issues that may arise, etc. So those are going to be the sides. These are L. This is I. And these are J. And this is C. Okay. Okay, 4x28. So those were piece L's. So then K and M are it for what we need to cut. So I'll switch back to that longer ruler, and I'll also grab a little bit shorter of one to help make up for what I can't measure with that. Or you could fold it. Yeah, we'll cut it on the fold for at least the one. See, I opened that up, which meant it no longer existed. Okay. Couldn't even see it. It's hidden. Okay, and that's which is piece K. And K and L are going to go together. And I can just clip those together now. And there's nothing I need to prep with those right now. All right, and then our last piece is 4 wide. Oop. And then I need to add to this size. So I'm just going to trace it so that I know where to cut to. Make sure it is the correct width. And then we can just slide this down. Use your best rotary cutting practices. And then that is piece M. So that's everything cut. Now we need to use our template pieces to finish prepping those pieces. Rulers away. Wonder if just wondering if I had a corner template piece that would match it, but I don't think I do. I don't. Well, not quite. The ghost template, it does match, but I'd rather not. All right, so okay. Trim the top edge of A, C, and J. With template piece 1. So there's C and C. And what you want to do is fold that in half and line up the center. and then probably just trace it. And then cut. So there's C, and this is A, and J. And I have 2 J's that I cut. So I'm just stacking those lining pieces. I'm not going to stack my cork. It's going to be way too much. I'm going to put my pattern weights down so that there's no shifting. Okay. And here is A. And be careful. Make sure your template piece matches up and you're not cutting the wrong side. Oh, didn't trace it. And then we're going to repeat by cutting out with template 2. So that was A, C, and J. And then round the bottom corners of A, C, and J with template 2. And then templates 1 and 2 in step 12 is complete, which I believe is going to be piecing together the lining. Okay. So our bottom corner, you're going to trace. I wonder if I can use this. No, it's not quite a match. Dang. Although, you could, if you really wanted to, you could wait to do that because you add these accent pieces and you could just add your accent pieces, sew it on, and then trim off the excess if you wanted. But it'll be easier to line things up by not doing that. I don't know. Like, dang girl, why you always gotta cut corners? But be careful when you're cutting these corners because this is going to define the shape of the bag, literally. But if you are someone who's like, I'm so mad there wasn't like an actual pattern piece, trace this now onto something, and this is your pattern piece for pretty much the whole thing. Okay, I think I can get through all of these lining pieces. I'm not worried about that one right now. These, yeah. Also, the pattern weights I'm using came in the Ditto sewing projector, and they are the most useful thing from that projector. Sorry, not sorry. And then keep in mind that this slip pocket is what is going to get the accent pieces when we put the bag together. So don't go adding it to both front sides at your cutting table thinking you're a smarty pants. Because just not right now. All right, that's A, C, and J. F and G. F and G I do not have because I'm not using those pieces. Pretty sure, like I'm not using that part of the pattern. F is the zipper overlay, G is the snap accent. Correct. So we have completely cut our daisy handbag from So Many Creations, and I'm really excited to sew this. It's something I've been meaning to do for a little while, and I can't wait. I will hope you join me. I hope you'll join me when I put this together. If you cannot wait and you didn't cut out the extra fancy stuff like I did, don't look at that lining piece, never happened, then you could just watch Jess's channel. She has a free tutorial on putting it together, or maybe there's another tutorial, but other than that, I will see you at the sewing machine. Bye. I just feel like now there's weird shadow, but maybe it looks better without that light on, or maybe I can lighten that. I'll try that. I'll see. What about this? Do you like this? Do I like this? Hey girl, hey. Am I still fucking orange because of this goddamn light?